everybody. This week, we're talking all about how Jesus served other people. Jesus was a great teacher, but he also served with love. He was compassionate towards people that no one else loved in society. And this is one of the most incredible things about Jesus. But before we talk about Jesus, I want to ask you a question. I want you to think in your mind back to the time most recently where you ate at a restaurant. For some of you, it might have been a while. For some of you, it was a fancy restaurant. For others, it may have just been something very simple, like my favorite, Chick-fil-A. But I want you to think about a restaurant that has a waiter or a waitress. What is their job? Well, their job as a waiter or waitress is to serve you. As a matter of fact, sometimes we call them servers. And that is by design. They are there paid to make sure that you have a good experience from the time you sit down until you finish your dessert. They are there to serve you. In the Bible, we find Jesus serving many people. He would heal people. He would make those that were blind see. He fed those that were hungry with very little food. You see, Jesus did things that only he could do, and that's called a miracle. But the greatest miracle was seeing Jesus, God's one and only Son, who deserved to be King of the world, bend down and serve those that people didn't feel needed to be served. Let me read a very important passage of Scripture before we get to our story today. It's found in the book of John, chapter 13, verse 15, and it says this, "I have given you an example that you also should do just as I have done for you." What Jesus is saying here is he has shown us how to live our lives, and we're to follow in his footsteps. As a matter of fact, that's what a Christian is. A Christian is somebody who is a Christ follower. And if you follow Jesus, you must follow in his footsteps in the way that he served and loved people. Check out today's story.
When it was time for the special Jewish feast of Passover, Jesus knew that it was also almost time for him to leave this earth. He planned to have a special supper with his disciples, whom he loved. During the supper, Jesus got up, wrapped a towel around himself, and poured some water in a bowl. Then he began to wash the disciples' feet. They were surprised. Jesus went from one man to the next, washing each man's feet in the bowl and drying them with his towel. When Jesus came to Peter, Peter asked, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Peter did not want Jesus to do such a lowly act of service for him. Jesus answered, "What I'm doing, you don't understand now, but afterward, you will know." Peter insisted, "No, you will never wash my feet." Jesus explained, "If I don't wash your feet, you have no part with me." Immediately, Peter said, "Lord, then don't just wash my feet, but wash my hands and my head also." Peter loved Jesus very much. After Jesus had washed the feet of every disciple, he turned to the supper and asked, "Do you know what I have done?" Jesus explained to them why he had washed their feet. "You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right. That is who I am. So, if I, your Lord and teacher, have served you by washing your feet, you also should serve one another. Follow my example and serve others. Do the things you have learned from me, and you will be blessed."
This story is amazing because Jesus loved his friends. Jesus also proved his love for us by loving others. Think about that just for a minute. How can you serve someone today that shows them the example of Jesus? Maybe it is doing a chore for your brother or sister that they normally do and you're going to do it in their place. Or maybe it's being kind to a friend at school who's had a really hard day. Maybe it's standing up for somebody who is being bullied. You know what? You can serve and demonstrate who Jesus is by your actions. Are you following Jesus' example today? Are you loving people? Are you caring for them? And are you serving them faithfully? Think long and hard about the incredible story of how Jesus washed the disciples' feet And think about ways that today you can serve other people.